Hey guys, what's up? Itchla. Welcoming ya to this week's first episode of walkswithsla. And let me tell you, there's definitely some thoughts I've been having recently in there. In that company. I feel suffocated, and I feel like suffocated and restrained most of the time. Most of the time I realize in most circumstances, I'm suffocated, whether it's inside certain environments that are not conducive to the type of thing that I want, which is, I don't know, I guess more expansive dialogues and stuff. And, for a while it's been difficult for me because I can't really hit that mad scientist level that I so desperately want to hit because of my affinity for other humans and my care for others and overall just liking to be social. And I think I've reflected on this multiple times during these episodes that if I was antisocial, if I was a true loner, then that might be the final key to unlocking that mad scientist gene that I am so desperate for to fit into that archetype. That's ultimately who I am as a person and who I'm trying to become. But there is that critical flaw in my genotype of, again, just being like a little bit too socially inclined and a little bit too caring, because oftentimes care and compassion can be two fairly large speed bumps in the greater construction of human. It's the unique thing about humans. It's what makes humans special. But it overall is a roadblock to intellectual discovery. And I just, realizing how far behind I am and how much I've been limited, it's pretty intense. I guess I should be happy that at least at this point I'm liberated somewhat. Somewhat now. I finally have calculated that I could be speaking during my breaks and speaking in the car, and it's taken until just about just about the tail end of 2025. And so we're going to be hitting 2026 fairly strong, but my fatigue is still also equally as strong. And so we have to try to figure out a way for me to relax and get more energy. I wish there could be an easier way, a much more straightforward way to charge a human's battery, if you will. Wow, this is an interesting find. It looks like there's some kind of a butter knife here, and it lay hidden. And it looks fairly heavy and nice. But there may be a slightly noticeable rust spot beginning to accrue on it. And so, yeah, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because I just can't, there's no breakthrough, what I'm doing, it's great and it's a breakthrough, but I think a lot of people would look at it and just see it as a big jumble of nonsense. They'd see what I'm doing and they'd look at me and they just look at this guy, what's he doing? You know what I'm saying? And there needs to be a true liberation, but I'm suffocated. I'm suffocated on this planet. I'm suffocated in these environments, whether it's in stores, whether it's at work. There is a major lack of thoughtfulness and constructiveness in the way stores are designed, in the way roads are designed, in the way companies are designed. And so the only avenue where I even have some kind of a comfort or a peace is on the open mic. And that's something that I've only recently found. So I think you can imagine how difficult that is for me. And even now, I don't know if its healing effect is quite enough. I think, if anything, I should probably be talking more and having even more of a dialogue. You know, it's interesting to come to that conclusion, but it's really the truth. It's really the truth of my situation. And obviously there's sort of a waste because I'm not even in a optimal recording environment, and I really don't even have an optimal recording setup. It would really cost a few $100s to get this like really good headset mic that really cancels out noise properly and all. But it's a few $100s, and I've kind of been putting it off. At least this microphone, it's a super cheap, very stress-free thing. Like if it broke, very easy to get a replacement. I probably will be ordering a second one fairly soon. I'm not entirely sure when, but probably before the year's over, just because it's still very good as like a worst case scenario backup. But sadly, I don't know how I could use it in the car unless driving. It's annoying having something big in your face. So I'd have to reposition my arm, I think. But yeah, you know what? Because of all this racket, we're probably going to have to just go to a completely different area, because this is just a big joke, And so here I am, stuck slaving away, stuffed 9 to 5, and when I should really be in a sound-treated enclosure, a sound-treated room that is free from all this haphazard, poorly planned vehicular noise surrounding me. I mean, wow. I think it may even be time to start to invest even more in the microphone I have is probably very good as is, but I mean, I really should be getting some like tip-top recording quality stuff going on. That's kind of my opinion, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, I know that their diminishing returns would be a lot and the amount of cost would be a lot, but I don't know. At least it's not as bad as it was before. Like this, for the price, nothing can beat this. But for what I'm trying to do, I just think it's actually very important to just have the like supreme quality I possibly can, because that's really the whole game right here. I'm trying to make and record my voice for like permanent retrieval. And in the future, looking back to here, it's really not cutting it. But as you can always hear, I'm surrounded by noise. I'm surrounded by these droning noises, and it's just not, 50 years from now, these recordings are not going to hold weight to whatever microphones are around at that point. And so that's kind of the frustrating thing. It's just, what do I do? What do I do with my time? I guess I could just sit in my car, which would be a superior recording environment, but I'm trying to multitask. I'm trying to get my exercise in, by walking. It's important because I've been getting pretty lazy when it comes to exercising. I didn't run. I just feel too overwhelmed, and it creates a spiral because I know I'd probably do better if I cut through that and just get a good run in. That would probably help me, but it's gotten to the point where I can't cut through, and I just need like more of a break, I think. And call me a weak person, but it's just how I feel. It's just what it is, and it's a shame. But I think things would be different again if I was in a situation where I was applied more, and I really felt a deeper sense of pride about my job, and I felt like I was, and it's difficult to do that. So it's difficult to find motivation when your life is not like I could be for the world too. It's not even just for myself. I don't even care about getting paid that much more. I just want to make a living wage, which is slightly north of around 25 an hour, but I could be doing pretty advanced stuff for that fee. And I want to try to help other people get the wage up to there as well. It's not really just about me. It's never been just about me, and that could be one of my other limitations. I feel like I'm sandwiched between two noise sources that I can't get rid of. It's horrendous. It's just horrendous. And I'm still undereducated, and really that should be fixed. It should really be fixed, but I don't know exactly what avenue to pursue, and nobody's really willing to sit down with me and try to get anywhere with that. Of course, somebody, what's the point? Maybe GPT. Maybe I should go to GPT, because it seems like anymore that's the only advice that's any good. It's like I talk to a lot of adults, and they're all fairly ignorant, and it becomes more of like a lesson where me as somebody half their age is having to like explain to them things they should have understood a decade or two ago, but a decade or two ago at least, because even when it comes to myself, it's like a lot of these concepts about the nature of reality or society, they really should have been understood. I mean, I should have understood them sooner too, and I think I did. But the problem is, if you don't have a direct mentor, you can only go so far outside of whatever. I'm forgetting the word, and I don't really like Overton window. Thank goodness, man. That was not going to be a good situation. Man, I'm surrounded by so much noise. I'm sick of it. This is not a good recording environment, guys. I apologize. But yeah, it's like you can only go so far outside of whatever your own personal bubble Overton window is. Like, and I think I did a pretty good job of getting outside of that, but a lot of my ideas or where I should have been at were like scrambled, or they weren't really cultivated properly. So most of my life was just like a giant waste of time. And I don't think a lot of people can say that about themselves. Some people have more attention than they could even ask for, and more advice, and they blow it and they don't even appreciate it at all. Whereas then you have me, which is like a hungry soul that, really could have done amazing things if it was just placed in the right environment. And then I'm neglected, I slipped through the cracks, and nobody really saw what was going on. And so it's all kind of a shame, it's very, very a shame. And what else is new? I still doubt my abilities because of it, because of my undereducation or my laziness tendencies. And I just want to finally become that mad scientist who I'm supposed to be, and finally become that orator that I so desperately long to be. And I wonder if what is the point? Is there even a point in making all this content and recording all this stuff? Because I just don't know. Kind of on a lighter note, I did want to talk about, and I've definitely said this millions of times throughout the show before, but it's very, very strange because artificial cold air feels amazing to me. It feels great. Artificial cold air, meaning, cold air coming from an AC vent or inside of a refrigerator, when I breathe it, when I feel it, it feels amazing. It feels refreshing. It feels electric. But when there's artificial hot air, meaning coming out of an oven or coming out of a heater in a car, it feels heavy. It feels terrible. It feels disgusting. You know, and that's weird. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels this way, but it's just very weird. I wonder if a lot of people even notice it, because I know a lot of people do like the heat, or the heat comforts them. But to me, heat, it's deathly, whereas cold is alive. And cold has sort of this very smooth and soft, velvety texture, whereas heat has this very thick and heavy, uncomfortable, like sticky texture. And so my car, you know, I'm more than happy to use the AC, but to use that heater, it's terrible. Although I usually resist using the AC, I think a lot more than most people, just due to my awareness of how it uses more gas, and it's really not efficient, you know. So I try to keep it pretty minimal. But heat, I mean, I wouldn't even put the heat on in my car, but, you know, there's a risk of like foot frostbite, so I'd have to put on some pretty heavy-duty socks and or shoes in order to relinquish that risk. So what ends up happening is, I think a lot of times it's like I'm in this in-between spot where, you know, my speaking ability and vocabulary, it's better than a lot of people, but then I still feel like it's under where it's good enough to actually go to college or go to some place or really be recognized, because there's so many other things about my life experience that has just been rusty or slow or non-existent, and I don't really understand what I'm supposed to be doing or why nothing's really getting noticed, and I'm still kind of here, still waiting, like, I'm here, I'm still here. You know, that line on my recent album, on one of those songs, I haven't even been making any music because, I don't know, I just feel like already like I'm pushing and doing so much, it's difficult to get there, you know? I didn't really finish all of what I had to do on the weekend, which is kind of sad. You know, I don't really have all the videos scheduled yet, but I did get a good amount done, so I'm not overly not happy with myself, but man, it's been a rough time. It's just been a weird, strange time for me, and I'm having these issues like adjusting or whatever. It's just odd. It's odd. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. The only thing I'm truly happy about or truly see as a true, how many times am I going to say true? Like, seriously. The only thing I see as a real step forward is this microphone and this iPhone 13 mini I've had for a long time. It's a very nice, compact setup. And really, I probably should look into the 512 gigabyte variant, but it's still a little bit pricey, I feel. But it would be a cool idea, or, you know, yeah, it would be a cool idea. I mean, I really could go crazy, though, and get that original SE. I just think the CPU is fairly bad for it. Not that that's necessarily an issue, though, because really the... What am I saying? Really, CPU doesn't matter that much for audio, so it's just mainly the transcription it would be really bad on that. So I don't know that that's worth it. Yeah, it's always comes back to that pesky transcription. But yeah, so it's really a free outlet, basically. It's a free outlet. I want to get another one of these mics to have as a backup because it's very cheap, and you know, there's not too much of a downside to it or anything like that. And yeah, I don't know. Still kind of wonder about myself and my future. I don't really feel like this is one of the better episodes necessarily. I just was very excited to come outside and breathe and kind of have time to get those thoughts out. I didn't even really elaborate so much on the main thing that I wanted to talk about, which was that dialogue about feeling suffocated and restrained and not really having the proper outlet to accomplish or do things. And it's a shame, you know, it's a shame. I really could have been building towards something much better, and I'm really just starting 2026. Everything I've done up until this point has been worthless, and it's really only just this year that we're finally starting, but it's really going to take that full year to really get anywhere. I think it's not really going to be until 2027 that I really can actually take a step forward. You know, 2026 is just laying the foundation down. Nothing's really going to get built, just the foundation. So we're still pre-foundation, which is annoying. But again, after 2026 and then 2027 comes around, and then really it's going to be 2028, I think, when things finally start to get good. Now, this is assuming the economy does not implode for me. You know, if the dollar destroys itself, well, then we're all going to be suffering, and there's going to be 2020 nothing is when I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I got no idea what's going down. It's really, I think a lot of us are confused and not sure what we're getting into or anything like that. So it's a shame. It's all just a big shame, really. That's all it is. And I want to figure out more insightful secrets or ways of unlocking or unraveling things, but I don't feel like it's just not the episode for that, I guess. I guess a lot of the time it's not always going to be like that. Some of these are just personal documentation of things and things like that. It's there's not really too much at work, too much to work on. What am I even saying, man? Yeah, I'm losing it, you know. It's not really a wonderful situation, but it's something. We're trying to figure it all out. We're definitely trying to figure it all out, but just you know, sometimes you just don't know what can even be done. It seems all messed up and weird. It seems weird. And yeah, I don't really have too much else to say, guys. It's been Schla, and now it's time to buy Schla. So, see you, Schla.